What's up, everybody? Welcome in. Justin Novak here, your favorite AI guy. Today, I'm honored to be sharing the screen with two of the best builders on the planet, Ian Kilpatrick and Alec Saluga. What's up, Ian? What's up, Alec?
What's up, guys?
So Justin.
Yeah, welcome back. For those of you who don't know us, we do these sessions about once a week. And so today we're going to walk you through the entire life cycle of a company built with AI. But we're going to show different companies along the way, but go through the entire life cycle of what it takes to start, build, and grow a company with AI. So the brand, the website, getting traffic, getting customers, the numbers, analytics. And at the end, uh, we're going to show you Ian's 90-10 rule. Drop your name in the chat, where you're calling in from, where in the world you're calling in from. I'm in New York City. Alec, where are you today? I saw you were traveling.
I'm in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I live in Los Angeles now, but from Pittsburgh, so we are back in the hometown.
Steelers.
Go Steelers.
Yo, Steelers. Are you still in Tennessee?
I am Middle Tennessee.
Middle Tennessee.
Finally
Cool.
getting a little bit cooler. We had a heat wave, but feeling pretty good.
Hey, Rahul. Welcome back. Nick from Mexico City. Hey, Debbie.
Are you from London?
Hey,
There we
Gene.
go.
Welcome
Go
back.
Steelers.
I
There we
see some
go.
familiar faces in the chat. If you guys have been here before, tell the newcomers what to expect.
That's a good idea.
Only allowed to say good things, by the way.
Yeah, so for the veterans in the room, we mix the format every week. A few weeks ago, we built an entire company live in front of you, shared the screens the whole time, the good, the bad. Um, we did an open claw session, Ian led, where he went full nitty gritty, step by step, every click of the setup, how to start your own open claw. Today is a bit different. It's more of a show and tell. Everything that Ian and Alec are about to show you is a real build. It's polished, it's done, it's working. Nothing is hypothetical or theoretical. It's real, it's built, and we're going to show you how we did it. If this is your first show, you guys picked a great week. Now, yeah, thank you, Rahul. Thank you for the kind words in the chat. Quick backstory before we get started, and then I want to jump in here. I want to respect everyone's time. I've known Ian and Alec for years. We've collaborated professionally together for years now. And as of 2026, we started a collective. We build agents for companies. So at the end, if you need help building an agent for your business, we'd love to earn your trust and chat with you. These are some of the sharpest AI minds in the game. I've learned a lot from them, but don't take my word for it. I'll let you guys decide for yourself over the next hour. Um, Alec, Ian, what do you say? Who wants to kick us off?
Ian, you
I
got it.
will.
Let's give it
I
a go.
will. Let's do this thing. All right, let me share my screen. Oh, I send a request.
There we go.
All right. I'm going to share the full screen because I might jump. Oops. From place to place. Oops. All right. So let me pull this picture off here. So, as I mentioned before in past calls, my wife and I started a school last year, and we started it really in earnest in February. Really started building the brand. It's called Saints Classical, and really, she came up with the idea after getting a master's in education. She said, "I want to start a school." And it was something she had been dreaming about for 30 years. And yeah, I'm dating myself, but it had been that long. We thought, well, maybe we just missed it. But then all of a sudden it came about, this idea, and then just synergy started forming around it. So I jumped in as the tech and brand guy, and she knows curriculum. So we just jumped in together, and we launched in fall with 95 students. It was a literal 6 month sprint, full speed ahead. And we really had nobody. It was us, and we partnered with like a couple of churches and had a few other people that were excited about the school. But the majority of the work was she and I. So she was handling the students and curriculum and all that, teachers and everything, and I was handling everything else. And in that 6 month sprint, we ended up at the end of it with a full website, a full LMS system, a shop, on-demand shop from Brandsauce, my own company. So that one was a no-brainer, and even just full brand everything, including even houses. We put each of the kids in different houses. So all of this came about within 6 months. It was rigorous, but uh, um, what we learned was the important thing to start with was the brand kit. So here's the sample of it here. I'll show you the live one in a second. But um, starting with the brand, starting with brainstorming and figuring out your brand of a business or a school or whatever it is you're starting or doing is so crucial, because everything flows from that. It's kind of like the brain. It's like the personality, and then you form the skin around it and you give it everything else. But it all flows from these decisions that you make early on. So we really started there. I actually had we originally called it American Saints, and she gave me a logo that was, I don't want to disparage my wife, but it wasn't good. And so I took it and started working with it, and it took some finessing and chipping away and all that, but we ended up getting there. And what we ended up with was this logo here, this cloud background, and I needed to put something together because we started having other people work on it. And so I had my OpenClaw take what I had done and build out a brand kit for everybody else to see and work on. So a brand kit, if you don't know, this is like kind of branding 101, but you put these together so that when other people work on marketing material, collateral, stuff like that, that they know exactly how to represent your brand. So we had this one here, but I also made it, told my Claude to make it so I swipe left, I could see other variations of the logo and colors. And then even further, there's the brown. And then over this way, we can see this blue, which represents more of our clubs and higher learning education, like the musical academy and our forensics club. And then over to the white, where it's more of a fun minty color. So this gives people the feel and the vibe for it, and everything has to stay within this. So they can download the logos here. They can see all the brand fonts, download them here. Apparel designs, which are uploaded, brand images, which I'll show you in a second. But everything that they would need is all here, so that they can take it and accurately represent the school. So here are a few brand images. So we actually were going for like colonial and ancient Rome, ancient Greek, because that's really the two, I guess the two epitomes of classical education. So it was a hard mix, but it ended up working out okay. So we pulled all these images together, and from that cultivated and created this brand. So you'll see a mix of those styles in here. You can download each of these, and then naturally went to fonts. So branding, oftentimes people think is all logo. Just make a logo and give me a color or two. It's not. That's just the thing that represents branding. But branding is so much more than that. It's actually the thinking behind an entity, and even fonts have different theories. So this one is the serif font, which means it actually comes from the Greek when they used to chisel the letters. That's why things are, let me zoom in, are serif like that on the ends, because they had to get the chisel out. Well, it kind of stayed as the Greek or higher learning educated font style, So we went with that route with more of a standard sans serif just for readability, and then moved down into colors. So each color has its own vibe, its own reason, its own use case. And you want to educate, while you're doing this, educate the user by the brand representation. So in this case, our users know that the green, this light green, this white, this gold, those are all the standard school colors. When they get into clubs and other academic higher learning stuff, it goes into these navies. And then these are more for like field trips or different efforts, things like that, so that they know without me actually expressly or explicitly telling them that these colors represent these parts of the school. So and then it goes all the way down into even even this stuff for if people are building us web sites or whatever, newsletters, and then the different button styles. So I think it's important though to reiterate that it was just my wife and me. So when I say it was a 6 month sprint, it was all this was my 6 month sprint. Nobody else worked on it together. So building a brand is is easier with OpenClaw. Doing all of this without an AI bot would have been basically impossible. We would have gotten a much smaller, scaled down version of it. But with OpenClaw, being able to basically be a second or third brain for me while I'm brainstorming with it, giving it stuff, it's building out while I'm building other things. It has exponentially allowed me to reach things I couldn't have reached before, and honestly, do things for much cheaper than we could have in the past. So that's my overview of brand building with AI. And there's a lot more to it. There's so many things I'd love to show you guys, but I only have limited time. So, Justin, I'm gonna pass it back because I know we got a lot to cover.
Yeah, Ian, thank you. And so, just for the audience, since today we're not showing exactly how to do it, we're showing more of the final outcome and the output to inspire you guys and show you all what's possible. But I still do want to give them some insight, Ian. So, if someone in this audience, we've got a lot of people here today, if someone wanted to build a brand kit or a brand for their business, or maybe a branding for an event they're hosting, whatever the case may be, what tech stack would you advise they use? For instance, Rahul in the chat saying, did you use a Design MD standard? And then you mentioned OpenClaw. So what tech stack did you use, or which tech stack would you advise if someone from the chat wants to do this today?
That is a good question. Tech stack. I mean, I
Or
usually
software tooling?
I
How did you do this? Was it with OpenClaw?
Yeah, I always start. I'm a designer I've been a designer for 28 years. See, 20, yeah, about that. And so I know what I want. I know what I like. Rahul, yes, starting with a design.md is a good idea. But I actually build my own just as I go. Say, okay, make this tweak now, save that all as a design skill, so everything has that feel. If I were starting out as a non-designer or someone who had maybe a little bit of a feel, I would probably find other sites that I like, other pages, or even just any designs, and say, I really like this part about that. And then let your OpenClaw or you let your AI, Claude or whoever, build that MD for you, that design MD. And then once you have it refined, you take it, you start building with it, and you continue to refine it. So I wouldn't actually design with AI. I mean, I guess I do, but I always direct it with design. I direct the AIs because otherwise you'll get kind of templated AI builds, which are starting to become pretty noticeable. But start with looking around at what you like. Find designs you like, find other sites you like, brands you like, and then Behance is a really good place to start for that. And then just start iterating, create mid-journey images or Nano Banana or Veo 3 or not, that's video, but start using other image generators to create the things that get close. Find other people's work. They say good artists steal. No, good artists borrow, great artists steal. So you take someone else's good stuff and then you take it and tweak it for yourself, and pretty soon it's your own. So yeah, I would actually use everything else. Look around, be really curious about what other people are doing, and then feed that to your AI and let it build that brand kit for you.
Thank you, Ian. Guys, keep the questions coming in the chat. We'll try to address all of them during the session or at the Q&A at the end. All right, so Ian showed us the full brand. Ian, really, really nice work. So here's the thing. You have a brand, you're starting a business, but it's really worthless unless you have a website, and a website that converts attention and traffic into customers. So Alec, take the baton. What do we do once a brand becomes a website to get that traffic to convert?
Yeah, 100%. And one quick note on Ian's. Now when it's so easy to build, to throw up a website, a landing page now can be achieved in half an hour instead of something that used to take weeks, months. So whenever you're letting AI, if you don't give it any sort of direction on design and just kind of let it go and build, it's going to end up looking the same. Everybody knows what an AI website looks like. It's obvious. So to differentiate and get to, a cleaner, elevated look is super important. So starting out with that, just the fundamentals of, hey, this is our brand kit is super important. So I'll transition now into we have a specialty in conversion rate optimization. So basically, like Justin said, we need a website, right? We need people coming to our website looking for our services, and we need to then get them to express interest or reach out directly. So how do we do that? And I'm going to share an example into admin panel that I've built out, and I'll give you guys an overview of what that looks like and how that's helping us get more conversions and optimize our traffic. All right. So what you'll see here is now I mentioned how easy it is to build now with AI. Like I said, you could spin up a landing page or website in 30 minutes. These things used to take hours and hours or days to build, but now it can be achieved very, very fast. And I think everyone's familiar with an A/B test, right? Like, you have one version of the site and then you have another one and you kind of split test the two of those and see what converts best. What you'll see here is like A, B, C, D, E, F, G test. And basically what that means is we're rotating different variants of the website. So if I give Justin a link to my site and I give Ian a link to my site, they're both going to get different versions, and then we can measure what's converting better, and then we can direct traffic to those landing pages that are performing better. So we're making the most of that traffic that we're getting. And it's very important now because Meta ads, Google ads, all CPMs are going up and up and up, and that's going to continue to be the case. So we need to take advantage of that traffic. So as far as, how do I do this? What's a use case for it? So this one, for instance, this was Car Ship Pros. This was a site, and honestly, it's like to Ian's, point on design. These landing pages were not super dialed on design, and there's purpose to that, right? Like this is more of a, hey, we're generating leads for other car shipping companies. We sell those off. So less important on the overall branding side. Basically, what happens is this we use Lovable for. You can use any of the builders. You can use Claude Code. You can use Codex. You can use Lovable. You can use Replit, whatever. You can use any of the builders, and you just tell it, hey, we want to rotate 20 different landers, and I want an admin panel so I could see the analytics on it. Like you could see V3 here. This is getting 30% conversion rate. You can
Hmm.
see, V1 is getting 0%. So what's going to happen is now we're going to direct all of our traffic to V3 instead of V1. We're going to take our top five. We're going to make new versions of those and continue on split testing. So just a simple view on what that looks like. Just a simple form fill. That's it. No specialized design or anything like that, but we're getting data on what's converting is what we're doing.
That's
Um,
awesome.
yeah. So and this used to be something where if you wanted to build out 20 landing pages, I mean, forget
Hmm.
about it. Like there is
Good
no
luck.
way. It's just in like a drag and drop builder. If you're in WordPress or high level or whatever, it's just not feasible. It's not something you're going to be able to do. But now this is one prompt, literally. Make me 20 landing pages and rotate them and give me an admin panel so I give you the analytics. That's it.
Like selfishly, I want that prompt. Guys, in the chat, if you also want that prompt, just say yes. Let's find out who wants that prompt. And Alec, if you're feeling generous, would you give it to the audience?
I'm feeling generous. Let's do it. Let's get a prompt together. And we'll get that out to anyone who wants it here. Totally happy to share. I think there's so much opportunity out there. I'm not of the mindset of gatekeeping really anything. This could apply to so many different verticals, any business. It's especially important if you're running paid traffic, if you're running Meta, if you're running Google, because you're paying for those clicks. So you want to make the most out of them. So yeah, that is rotating landing pages, conversion rate optimization with AI, something that wouldn't have been practical a couple
Can
years
you
ago.
can you imagine assessing each of these A/B tested landing pages and trying to figure out as a human what's working and what's not
Yeah,
at pace? This is no way.
there's no way. And in this world, there's just you don't really know until you know. you need to get out and test and let the market tell you what's working or what's not. And this allows exactly that because we're getting 30 different landing pages in front of people and we're getting that feedback in real time on what's converting and what's not. You know, because we all
Right.
have our ideas. We're like, oh yeah, I think this will convert. Let the where's the data? Let the data tell me. The data's right here.
Yeah.
Push more traffic to the
Yeah.
good ones, cut the bad ones, and let's run it. So yeah, that
You
is
know, you
conversion rate optimization.
you said something early on about like the landing pages and how they look and all that kind of stuff. There's actually a tactic to that. I've done a lot of web design for different clients, and I did one that was it was like a trailer park, whole family of trailer parks. And apparently, I made them look too nice because they told me, can you junk them up a little bit? Because people started thinking that the trailer park would be too much, cost too much to rent space there and all that. So there's actually a tactic to making it look cheaper so people don't think that you're too expensive. So it really depends on your audience.
Right.
Interesting though.
That is interesting. Yeah.
So
Uh,
switching gears a little bit here, Alec, you showed us how you're spinning landing pages in measuring the conversion rate, and then that page gets smarter and smarter every week so you can further optimize and run new tests. But the problem I see is a landing page with no traffic is like a billboard in the desert, right? No, if nobody sees these landing pages, what's the point? So
100%.
do you want to enlighten us how you get traffic using AI, UGC, AI advertising, or some traffic mechanism to get these visitors to your site and how you do that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So yeah, to Justin's point, we could have the most killer landing page in the world, most optimized, most dialed. But again, if nobody's hitting it, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. So we need to get eyeballs on it. So a lot of what we do is we run meta ads. So and the biggest thing now with Meta is there's a huge demand. The algorithm demands an insane volume of creatives. And before, prior to AI, you're paying 250 bucks for a, creator to make a UGC video for you. And now that's also achievable with AI in seconds for free. And it works truly. Like the data shows it's working for, myself, our clients, and it's working super well. So I'm going to go into kind of a, full cycle example here. What I did is I put a quick design of a hat. If we come out with merch, I can promise you it's going to look a lot better than that. You can see my prompt engineering here, real advanced prompting techniques. Make a cool dad hat with this logo. Give me the product image. So that's our
That's
starting point.
awesome, Alec. I need that hat.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We'll make a cooler version at some point. But we need to now market this hat, right? So this is all in Higgsfield, by the way. Higgsfield is basically it aggregates all the big image and video generation models and allows you to, use it in kind of a better interface and toggle between models, that sort of thing. So I generated this image first, and I took this into what they have as Marketing Studio. So in Marketing Studio, now I can upload a prompt. I can upload the product image. I can upload an avatar. So you'll see I have a handful of avatars here. Haven't QA'd these, so these are all first go. Let's take a look and see what we got.
If you're using AI every single day, but you still couldn't tell me what an API is, this hat is for you. AI for NTP, AI for non-techie people, AI4NTP.com. If you're using AI every single
So yeah, need to tweak the prompting a little bit and get maybe a better call to action there. Check out our hat, click the link in bio, whatever. But gives you an overall sense of, hey, we can have the actual product in the image.
using AI daily, but still couldn't tell me what an API is, AI4NTP. Broken in already, no code, no jargon, AI4NTP.com.
Yeah, there we go. So like again, we need a better script, of course, but that's not the point. The point is to show you, look how easy this is. This took 30 seconds to generate. I threw a quick prompt in there that I used Claude to help generate. That's literally the hat that I just generated an AI image of 5 minutes before. And now you have, what's getting very close to a point of being indistinguishable. You have real
Using
creators.
Can't explain API? This hat is for you. AI for NTP. AI.
Like that is the hat,
That's
and she's
crazy.
wearing it. It's very, very close to, it's essentially indistinguishable, or at least well on the way to getting there. If it's not there yet, it'll be there by end of year for certain. So running these ads allows us to, test hooks and test different scripts very, very fast and rapidly iterate because we don't have to, one, pay somebody $250 to build it and, and then wait 2 weeks, ask for revisions that take another 2 weeks. So one, it condenses the timeline on iterating on creatives. And then secondly, it's much more cost effective.
So, Alec, you're suggesting that anyone in the audience who is trying to drive more traffic to their website for their service, their product, their business, they use paid advertising and AI generated UGC to test different variations and hooks. And then they can also A/B test which performs best there as well. Is that correct?
That's correct, yeah. And I wouldn't limit it to paid advertising. I think we're all starting to see the rise of AI influencers. So this could just as well be repurposed for general social media instead of paid ads. So yeah, I wouldn't isolate it just to paid ads. Like you could even be, hey, I want a VSL or a video, kind of like a YouTube video, almost explaining your offering and your product. You could use AI and an AI avatar to create that as well. So like really any marketing assets where it makes sense to have somebody on camera talking about something, it now also makes sense to just use AI to do it. So you can do it faster and you can do it cheaper, and you can iterate on things quicker. So yeah, it's definitely game changing.
I love it, Alex. So we started with building a branding kit, A/B testing websites, driving traffic, paid traffic to that website with UGC, AI generated with Higgsfield. We dropped that link in the chat. Ian, what if we don't have money to spend on paid advertising? Are there other ways we can drive traffic? Perhaps, position ourselves on ChatGPT or Google SEO or GEO or AEO. What are your thoughts on that?
That was exactly my prompt to Enoch, who was my first OpenClaw. I, it's funny when I installed him, when I created him, like I'm a mad scientist. I said, make yourself a business and something you can create and manage and promote. I said, if I give you $100, what would you do? How would you make money? And he said, oh, well, I wouldn't do any paid advertising. I would just build a thing, pay for hosting, and then run a bunch of other marketing techniques. I said, well, what is that? And he started doing it, and the stuff he was suggesting, like that he could post on Twitter for me and Instagram. I know there's ways to do it. He couldn't do it. So I finally got mad at him one day. I said, look, you have promised all these things and you haven't done any of them. So I want you to go dig deep right now and find everything you can do for me. And he did. And it was like a 15-minute search that he came back with this whole game plan for AEO, SEO, programmatic SEO, GEO, PEO, what I call PEO. And I will show you, I'm not going to show you exactly what he did just because it's just way too much, but I will show you some of the outcomes. So, okay, can you see that? AEO, GEO, SEO? Great. So the one he actually built was called Mini Match. It's a very niche app for mini figure painters. I probably mentioned it before on past sessions, but like they'll buy these games that have minifigures, little gray figures, and they buy all these paints, and everybody kind of geeks out and like posts all their cool painting jobs. So everybody's always trying to better the craft, right? And they'll start painting these things, and then they'll get another one, and they forget what paints they have. They forget, how much of each paint or what brands and all that stuff. So I built this app, put it on the App Store, and and it's actually at minimatch.app if you want to go there. You can basically find paints, find other brands with that same paint color or ones that are similar to it. And I told Enoch, I was like, hey, how do we get people to this site? And that's when he brought this traffic thing, this AEO. So I should mention what AEO is. So AEO is answer engine optimization. We all know search engine optimization. AEO is answer engine optimization. That means LLMs. So when you ask your LLM, hey, what's the best way to manage all my paints? Then you want to present answers for that question exactly. And so that would basically take adding a lot of FAQs on your site with the right schema. Basically, as much content around those things, but with the question that people would ask an LLM. And then you put that all through your site. Make sure it's not duplicated. Make sure it's not slop, and it's not inaccurate. It has to be accurate. So I started implementing this stuff. So actually, AEO, GEO is generative engine optimization. That's when you type in a prompt to Google or a search query, and it pulls up a little like a AI summary of what it found. That's generative engine optimization. That's what you want to prime your site for as well, with other techniques that will get you mentioned there. You may not even show up in the index results, the search results, but you may show up in that GEO spot, the AI summary. Um, PEO is my own phrase because there are so many different acronyms in this space, but I call that public engine optimization, and it is essentially what the public thinks of you. You can launch your brand and your website and all this stuff and say, here's who we are. But really, once you do, the public, the wild, they will all let you know what your brand is. And it's almost reputation management. So PEO is really just going out there into Reddit, YouTube, blogs, social media, everywhere else, and either getting mentioned in those places or managing how you're mentioned and trying to really hear what the people are saying and responding to it and doing well in that. So it's a three-legged stool: AEO, GEO, and PEO. All of them benefit SEO. So that's what this is right here. This is my mini match site. I didn't have anything in February. We launched it in March. Most of these visits are me. That's why it's all this light blue. But in April, I started implementing the stuff in March, started jumping up to about, looks like 55, 50, yeah, maybe 55 a day. I wish I had these numbers on here, but May, it started going up to 100 a day. And then in July, I think it was just under about 360, 365 visits in a day, in the month. And I was actually shocked because this app didn't exist before. And then suddenly I'm being found on Google, and ChatGPT is mentioning me a lot. And I was really stunned at how fast, especially LLMs, picked up on it. In August, it's already outdoing April, or matching it. And it's only August 2nd. So it's already getting a lot of traffic, just already, the very beginning of August. So I was really stunned at how fast this stuff worked, how well it worked. And a lot of it had to do with programmatic SEO. So that's a whole other segment it's not totally related to AEO, but it's producing a lot of pages on your site that all have different text, different context, different focuses around what you do. And you want to kind of pair them up. So if it's location and a specific niche, or if it's a certain task and a certain material, whatever that is, you want to just say build out all these pages. Well, we built out, I think it's around 8,000 pages on Minimatch, and that's why it's getting mentioned so widely and so much. And each one of them is totally primed. Each page is primed for AEO and GEO as well. So it's just a lot of juice going into that site. And this is the proof of it. But PSEO on its own, so this is actually brand sauce. I began that in May. You can see May, probably 3rd, had nothing. These are all pages that are indexed or not indexed. Gray means it's there, but Google hasn't put it into its algorithm yet. Green means Google has read it and has put it into its algorithm, meaning if people search for this stuff, they will find it. And right now we have 3.82, so 3,820 not indexed. It's Google still reviewing it. But there's 13,200 pages that it has reviewed and has put into its index. And this is all thanks to programmatic SEO, thanks to my OpenClaw, SaucyBot. She's great. A lot of this was specific catalog pieces. So each product has its own page, which is a valuable thing. When actually getting out there, AI or Google won't ding you for AI writing your content, but it will if it's slop, if it's using trickery. There are black hat ways that you can kind of game the system, but it gets found out pretty quick. Or if it's not valuable to humans. So that's really the primary things is it's valuable to humans and it's not duplicated or AI slop. So these are just some of the metrics that I wanted to show you guys that this stuff actually does work.
Yeah, that's incredible. And so before we move on to Alex's, I'm super hyped about, I want to address Jan's question in the comments because this is critical. Jan asked, what is the real competitive advantage when everyone's going to start doing these, uh, spinning landing pages and conversion rate optimizations? Jan, I love this question because Alec, Ian, and I talk about it all the time.
Mhm.
There is an arbitrage in the market right now. If you build with AI today or this year, even next year, you're so far ahead of everybody else. It's kind of like, I'm sure you guys know Bitcoin, right? It's 60 something thousand dollars now. Building with AI right now is analogous to buying Bitcoin when it was under $100. You're getting in early. You're able to do things that frankly, big organizations, Fortune 500s, I I've worked with and talked to, they're scared about AI adoption. There's a lot of bureaucracy and red tape. Granted, there's a lot that are adopting it. But as a nimble small business owner or even mid-sized business or a high growth startup, you have the opportunity to implement these same day and start getting a competitive advantage while everyone else is sleeping at the wheel and still doing the things the old school way. So, Jan, the competitive advantage is being the first mover and adopting these technologies now, not once everyone's doing it. And then at that point, you've missed the window. But there's this window right now that all of us have an opportunity to act on. And that's why we host these sessions to teach you guys how to act on AI now before it's too late.
Yeah, I'll reinforce that point as well. Like everyone can create this, but nobody will. Everybody, if they want to go down that path and have the information and know that's an option that they can do it, yeah, they can do it, but most won't. People are generally, not don't take a ton of action. So that's the competitive advantage is actually going out using the tools, trying out the tools actually building out the workflows that rotate these landing pages and things like that, or take any real use case. So yeah, we're coming up on a world where anyone can do anything, but most people just won't. So that's your advantage is actually doing things.
And
Yeah,
so,
I would say, sorry, I would say get into it, learn it, and continue to keep pushing the boundaries. That's how you stay ahead. If you get in, learn it, and then stay there, people will pass you up. They'll always be pushing.
Ian, I love what you showed us with the PSEO, AEO, GEO. But as you showed, that takes time to compound, right? You
Mhm.
showed April, May, right? And it's continuing to grow and compound over time, which you're really gonna love. Probably by the end of this year, you're gonna be getting tons of free traffic. But I'm impatient, guys. I want results now. So, Alec, if I want results now, I want a lot of traffic to my website. What should I do? Where do I go?
Yeah, yeah. So you got a couple options. I mean, one, obviously, like I talked about earlier, paid ads is like an immediate faucet. You set your budget, make your creatives, press go, it's going to spend and you're going to get impressions. You're going to get clicks. And if you're optimized well and you have a good offer, you're going to get conversions. But there's a cost that's associated with that. And it's not always practical for, every business. For most it is, but not for all. So there's other options, right? Like I think anybody that's worked in sales has sent some cold emails, right? How many cold emails can a person, realistically send a day? Like probably not that many. I'm going to show something that shows, what operating at a little bit of scale kind of looks like. This is my Instantly account. This is from January 1st to today. We've sent 110,000 emails, which is certainly more than I would be able to send sitting here typing up individualized emails every single day. Um, 3% reply rate and almost 1,000 opportunities. So, and there's kind of another mix to that where it's not just templated emails. We're pulling in data, we're pushing that into an LLM and then pushing that into our email distribution software, which is sending out these, and allows us to send 110,000 personalized emails, in basically half a year. So let me pull something else up real quick. I just pull this up to show you the scale that's possible and to show you truly there's people that are doing this in a month. There's people that are doing this kind of volume in a week. And there's probably people that are doing that kind of volume in a day. So that's just, to show you the kind of scale that is possible with leveraging these kind of tools and, what I'm doing and what other people are doing. Okay, and then another like core concept that I've talked about in pretty much every AI session that we've done is scaling the unscalable. Back to the landing page and rotating landing page example, that's something that you just wouldn't be able to do. It wasn't practical, take a ton of time, just truly you wouldn't do it. But now with AI, you can do things like this. You can send out 100,000 personalized email because you're leveraging the tools to do so. So what that looks like is you're going to start out with your data source. So in this case, I have an Apify example. That's a data scraper. It could be something like an Apollo, which is a contact database. And then what happens is that would get pushed into an LLM where you have it prompted to pull in that data and then write that personalized email. And that would get pushed into something like Instantly, which then distributes those emails out to your list. So it's kind of what that process looks like end to end. And again, core concept is we're scaling something that you can't sit there. There's just no way a person could sit there and over the course of, half a year send over 100,000 emails. So that's core concept is now,
Alec,
yeah.
oh, sorry. Um, of that 110,000, how many your hours was involved in that?
Tough to guess, but maybe a couple hours a week, maybe less, probably an hour a week,
Wow.
something like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Fully
So
automated.
fully automated, yeah. I mean, with all of these things too, with anything that you're building out with AI, there's typically going to be, a little bit of effort up front to get these systems built out. But once they're built and they run and they continue to run. And, these things, you have systems, your systems are set up and they do their thing. So with a lot of this stuff that we do, yeah, there's a little bit of a lift up at the beginning to get these things up and running, get the infrastructure built out. But once it's built and you just let it run and let it do its thing. So. Yeah, that is personalized email at scale. Yeah, it's been working out great so far. So we're going to continue to keep.
Incredible. It looks like it's only going up too. It's just like a flywheel, just keeps on scraping more.
Yeah, so infrastructure is a big play there as well because you need to have a certain amount, like your volume that you can send is correlated to how many inboxes you have. Because like each inbox is constrained on how many emails it can send a day to keep deliverability high and that sort of thing. So that kind of upward trend that you're seeing is also adding on more infrastructure as we go to be able to send more.
Mm,
All right, guys,
man.
we've got about 10, just over 10 minutes left here. We have two more segments, one more from Alec, and then Ian's going to close us out. I'm curious, Ian, to hear more about this 90-10 rule that you've been teasing. But Alec, do you want to go first and touch on reporting? Because guys, we have a brand, a website, we have these different traffic sources, but we need a way to measure and report on some of this stuff. So, Alec, do you want to walk us through what that looks like, or just show us some general reporting tools that you've been using?
100%. Yeah. And I'll be pretty brief with my examples. I'm going to give one that's basic and one that's kind of the step up from that. So a basic example would be within Claude here. I have my Google Drive hooked up to Claude. So what I can do is from within here, I can get my Google Drive docs and just click right in and I have everything right there. Say that's say that's in a sheet with all of my data on it. Say it's a call transcript, whatever it is. It's all right there. It's one click away. So if you're working out of Claude, which a lot of people are, it's good to have those connectors so you don't have to. That's another thing with AI is like to not have to toggle between a million different tools all day is one of the core advantages of AI. So being able to connect these tools and aggregate them in one place, like within Claude or within ChatGPT, is huge. So what you could do is you can have, your Google Drive hooked up to Claude. And then skills. Skills are big. So like I have a skill for proposals, for instance. So this isn't necessarily reporting, but I'll tie it back here in a second. So what you can do is say I have my transcript from a call. I pull that into Claude here, and then I have my or my proposal skill, which is basically just instructions on what I like my documents to look like. And then what happens is I drop both those things in. So one, it has context on the conversation on the client. Two, it has context on how I like my proposals to look. And then I just I have, I'm one click away from adding both of those things in. And then I let it do its thing, and then I iterate on it, and then we'll toss another bonus tool, Whisper Flow, in here. If I don't like something, I could say, go change this, go change that. I don't like the font here. Shout out Whisper Flow. Allows you to iterate quick. So that's kind of the basic example of if you're not using Claude Code, N8N, Codex, Make.com, whatever, or OpenClaw even, any advanced workflow tools, this can all be accomplished just within the tools everybody in this room is already using. So that's kind of the basic example of what it can look like. And basically that would be having Google Drive or, with the data sources hooked up to Claude and then having skills built out that basically like in the same way where I have a skill for my proposals, you'd have a skill for how you like your reports to go out. Same deal, one click away, iterate with Whisper Flow, done deal.
Yeah, I think the big takeaway there is making sure you have your data sources connected. That's something I learned early on. AI has only as much context as you give it. So, Alec, are you using the connectors within Claude to connect your data sources, or are there any third-party tools that you'd recommend checking out as well?
So I'm using most of them that are native to Claude, but I have some that are like third party to get that data pushed into Google Drive, which is then connected to Claude. I'll take Plod, for instance, not Claude, Plaud, which is my note taker. Basically, what happens is whenever transcription goes through, I record a meeting or a call. That data then hits a webhook, which pushes that into my Google Drive, which then I can access via Claude and just pull it in one click. So there's some that are kind of, one step removed, but at the end of the day, the end result is all of that being aggregated within Claude there within Google Drive. So um, mostly on platform direct integrations with Claude.
Thank you, Alec. And guys, if you are curious to use something like Plod and a webhook and connect it to Claude to create a report, you can ask AI to set this up for you. Upload the transcript from this session. I'm going to send out the whole call recording and transcript. Upload this transcript to Claude and be like, hey, I really liked how Alec did ABC or how Ian did X, Y, and Z. Show me how to do it. That's a great jumping off point. It's a really good way to just get your hands dirty and start working and building with AI. Now, guys, we've got 8 minutes left. So Ian, I'll let you close us out and then we'll get to a Q&A. Guys, we did in under an hour brand, website traffic, outreach, reporting, PEO, SEO, AEO. This is really just, again, guys, the intention of this session was to inspire you to start building with AI. So Ian, take us away. What are you going
All
to close
right.
us out with?
So we have been talking through a lot of practical steps, and they've been really helpful. We've given a lot, even in past sessions. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about practical wisdom. So I was talking to a friend, I guess it was about a year ago, and I was asking him, like I always ask anybody I have dinner with, are you entrepreneurial at all? And most people say, oh, no, it's scary, or yeah, a little bit, but I don't know. And I encourage it. I kind of feed that flame because I think everybody should be entrepreneurial. And he had this idea. He says, I had one idea around prayer. And so I'll put up my monk hat, my monk hood for this segment. No, that looks bad. I'll take that off. He wanted to be able to organize things he's praying about. I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. Tell me about it. So he did. I started talking through an app. I said, well, what if you could actually plot where people are praying around the world through this app? He's like, oh, I like that. And we just kept on going. He says, hey, let's build this thing. I told him with AI, I could build it in a month, a week, And so we started going and we iterated. And now 7 months later, we finally just launched to beta. So this is more like, so the 90-10 rule is it's usually 80-20, but I think with AI, it feels like you can go a lot further. 90% of the work will take you about 10% of the time. And the last 10% will take you the rest of the 90% of the time. So let me show you some of the iterations we went through. So this is the very first pass at the logo. I liked it. I was like, oh, that's cool. It's kind of cool feeling. And we started showing it around and people really didn't like it. It felt, I guess it felt AI. And I was like, okay, I get it. So we tried more than just the prayer hands with this PRYR. It's PRYR.app. And then we added in a tagline. And again, it was just like, it's not right. So we went to this here, the standard, icon you see everywhere, all over the world. And that was actually what we were going to launch with. But it took a lot of honestly, just human testing, getting it to people and seeing their reactions and parsing what was friends saying that looks great versus real feedback. And what we ended up with only like a month ago or so was taking the hands out, no icon at all, just PRYR. We kind of went for a Fight Club feel, because well, we just wanted a more masculine app than a lot of them that are out there. And what I learned in this process was I can over expect or overestimate what I can get done in a short period of time because of AI, because it can go so fast. But just be patient with it. Like, you're going to get really far really fast, but then know that last part is going to take you a lot, because it's that example of the diamonds, the lab made diamonds that are perfect and pure, and the ones that are found in the ground that have imperfections. And that's how you value a diamond. The ones in the lab made diamonds are far less, maybe a tenth of the price, the ones found in the earth, because we still value those things with little imperfections, little human touches that we don't see in the perfection, but we actually value that. We gravitate toward it. So once you get your perfect app and it does everything that you want it to, start to add your own touch and feel into it to really bring it from what I thought was actually a pretty good brand. Even all these, maybe not this one, but this one I thought, oh, that's really cool, to this finally like, oh, wow, we call it the Instagram of prayer. And in fact, if you're interested in being in the beta testers, ping me and I'll send you an invite to it. But it took a while to get to this point, and a lot of it was just human suffering. Honestly, it was mulling it over and showing it to people, and kind of being embarrassed when you show it to them. So be willing to take those lumps and learn from all of it. AI can only get you so far. It's always going to think every idea you have is great, but not every idea you have is great. And a lot of them are, and they should be worked through, but it's going to take, to give another example, I know we had just a couple minutes. I used to be a beekeeper, and I would watch these bees and try and figure out first off, why they did what they did, but also how they make honey. And I found that they actually go get nectar from a flower. They take it into their stomach. They throw it up into another bee's mouth. It's really gross sounding, but that's actually how it's made. They do this 7 times. And after that, it's put into the beehive and capped off as honey. So if you think of that as 7 iterations or 7 different times you have to kind of regurgitate and digest something, I think there's a lot to that. Nature kind of tells us that there's a lot to taking in nectar, some idea, and then mulling it over a few times to get really a good thing, a pure thing like honey. So, and sweet.
Ian, one thing too is that, this is kind of another core theme that we talk about a lot is one, of course, the timeline has been rapidly condensed on, just the timeline to build these things out. That probably would have been a 6-month build just a few years ago. And then the second is costs. I mean, we're looking at a minimum. If you, maybe hire developers in lower GDP nations, you might be looking at it, I don't know, 10K to build it. On the higher end, you might be at $50,000 to build
Yeah, 50.
an app like that. And
Yeah.
now it's, you have some token costs associated, some AWS costs or hosting costs. But outside of that, I mean, it's really just sweat equity. So
Yeah.
the costs have been massively shrunk by AI, as well as the timelines. That's been kind of a core theme that,
Yeah.
we talk about pretty often.
That's a good point. This app costs us maybe a few $100s, under 1,000. And I've done it in my spare time because I have a full-time job. So you're right. Absolutely. And I got to a point where it's like, oh, I would be happier with this than I would probably from a developer I had to explain what I wanted and then get stuff back. I was able to iterate that fast, but it still took time, but it was very, very cheap and fast for what it's worth.
Definitely.
Ian, that was incredible. I can't wait to see it in the App Store. Guys,
It's gonna be fun.
this isn't just a website. It is a full-fledged iOS app. Thanks to AI supporting you, Ian. But AI couldn't have done it without your human ingenuity. Guys, before we get into Q&A, if you haven't realized, the three of us are a AI collective. We build AI agents, automations, marketing automations for a wide range of companies. So if you want to chat about us helping you out, I'll drop my calendar link in the chat. So that's aifromtp.com/calendar. Now, guys, Gene, thank you for coming. Good to see you here again. Uh, Inspired. I can't spend 1,500 on each A/B test session. Any advice here? That's a good one to kick this Q&A off. Um, Alec, that was your segment. How much did that cost to set up the A/B testing for the landing pages?
Is that what the question's on? Is it AB for ad spend? Is that what we're saying here? Or are we saying, just split testing? Okay, cold email, SEO. I would say on the cold email side, it's actually very cheap to run. You need to buy some inboxes, which are very cheap. They're about $3 per inbox per month. You can send about 30 emails per inbox. You have to buy a domain. For each domain, you could have three inboxes. Domain's like $5. And then the sequencer, you might be at $50 a month, something along those lines. So very cold emails much cheaper than paid ads, SEO, AEO as well, relatively inexpensive, more work than something like paid ads, of course, but all things that are relatively cheap. And, if those things are too expensive, then it's time to start hitting the phones.
Yeah, and then Ian, for your programmatic SEO, AEO, GEO build out, for someone in the audience today who wants to build that out, are there any capital requirements, or is it simply having the know-how to roll that out? What's required in terms of resources?
Capital requirements are purely the server costs and whatever your LLM, your AI model costs. If you're using OpenClaw, which is free, it's open source, you can go to openclaw.ai. Once you install that, it's really just a matter of knowing what you want to do. So cost wise, no, it's servers and domain, like Alec was saying, and your model cost. It's very, very cheap.
Ian, there's another good question about cyber security. I know there's some, when we work on builds together, there's some certain security protocols and third-party apps you use to pipe data and keep everything private and secure. Uh, is there anything, I know the question, Emmanuel, if you want to specify what specifically you're referring to as it pertains to cybersecurity, feel free to elaborate. But Ian, is there anything you want to add to certain cybersecurity preventative measures you take when you're doing a build for a client?
With OpenClaw.
With
And just
AI in
generally.
general, yeah.
With just AI deploying, you'll have to do a lot of it yourself. With OpenClaw, the first thing I'll do is put it on a server and say, put up the firewalls, install fail to ban, which is something I learned about once I started using OpenClaw. Um, it will basically, any bots or IP addresses that are trying to log in, it'll ban them after 5 failed attempts or something like that for 24 hours. So it dispels a lot of that, the attack, the DDoS attack that could happen. Um, OpenCloud knows a lot about security. It doesn't know everything. Um, I would say, yeah, just having it start with putting everything up and locking everything down, and then just making sure you have your guardrails set up. If it's OpenClaw, if it's AI, just make sure that it passes no API keys or nothing in the code base, nothing on GitHub that are passwords, things that you wouldn't want the whole world seeing. Those are the biggies.
Yep. I would add to that. Um, I would say, and Emmanuel, not saying this is you, I'd say a lot of people, when considering building way with AI, use the, cybersecurity argument as a lot and kind of deters some people from building anything. I would say with every build, it's very important to look at what's the blast radius? What does the system have access to? For instance, if you have customers and you're housing their social security numbers, for instance, you got to be buttoned up without question. If it's something internal and data that's in there isn't super important, then obviously you have to, you don't have to have that same level of security that you would if you're housing somebody's social security data. So I think it's always important to look at, hey, what's the blast radius here? If
Yeah, that's
all of
good.
this, all the code base was to end up in a bad actor's hands, what would happen? And that can help you determine what level of security you need to be looking at. Maybe if it's a, if the blast radius is large and could get really ugly, then you might need to bring in a third party to help out with security. If it's something where it's just internal and if that data was leaked, no big deal. Um, then yeah, you probably don't need to put a ton of emphasis on it. So that's kind of how I like to think about it with everything that I do.
Yeah, like that's a
That's
great
good.
point. Like we had a lawyer reach out to us that wanted to build a server on-prem because of the sensitive uh, PI. They have client data that can't be exposed to any server outside of what they have on-prem. So it depends on the use case. And like Alex said, the blast radius. Like if you have social security numbers, you definitely want to take extra precautions. But if you're making a client dashboard or a report, sure, you want to do everything you can to keep that sensitive information private. But yeah, Emmanuel, if you have any more questions, you want to elaborate on that question, we'd be happy to address it. And then EB, we have a question regarding UGCB. Um,
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure what that question is, but I will say there was a question earlier. Rahul said previously we had to do targeting. Now we don't need to. That was during my session on meta ads. Yeah, you really don't. I mean, now pretty much everybody that I know, people that are spending tens of thousands of dollars a day, hundreds of thousands a month, millions a month on ads, everybody's running broad. Your creative's doing the targeting at this point. So you don't need to do targeting. If you're going to do retargeting, that's different. Retargeting the people that are visiting your site or whatever. Yeah, that's it's a little different. But pretty much everybody's running broad right now.
Yeah. You could also, Lila, talking about the ad spend for for landing pages A/B testing. You could join our school. We could teach you how to do it. Show you how to do it. Walk you through it.
cool, guys. Well, unless there's any more questions, I think that's a wrap. What'd you guys think of the session? Drop it in the chat. Did you enjoy it? Did you hate it? Let us know. We're trying to continue to do these once a week. I think they continue getting better and better. Each one is unique and different, but the commonality is always sharing how to build with AI. We share new tools every week, new tips and tricks. Um, so we'll send you guys all a follow up with the recording, show notes, and next steps to collaborate with us. Again, great to see some familiar faces in the audience, some new faces as well. Emmanuel, we'll send you an email. Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Emmanuel.
Thanks,
Ian,
everyone. This was
Alec,
fun.
any closing remarks?
Nothing huge. I would say just if there's something that inspired you today, again, this kind of relates back to the one comment we got where it's, hey, what's my competitive advantage if anyone can do this? Again, anyone can do it, but most won't. So be one of the ones that do. Go out and
Yeah.
try the tools, use them. And yeah, get out there and
And
just get in
and
the
when you
arena and try the
do,
tools.
send them to us. We want to see what you guys are building with this. We want to know that what we're teaching you or showing you is actually having an effect. We're really excited to see what you guys build. So send it our way. That's it.
Love it.
All right, guys. Alec, E, thanks for your time.
Thanks, Justin. See you, Alec.
See you guys.
Thanks,
Bye,
everyone. See
guys.
you.